It is our first eclipse week of the September eclipses. It is going to be a week of completions, endings, possibly big life changes. Eclipse seasons tend to bring big, lasting life changes. Trajectory alternations happen during eclipses. This eclipse that's happening this week is a full moon eclipse happening in Pisces. We also have Saturn retrograding back into Pisces. This is a lot of water energy coming at us this week. It's a lot of like in the depths of the karmic waters, like the karmic waters are stirring, they are churning, they are bringing things up that are meant to be completed, meant to be walked away from. They're also gently, with the full moon, illuminating future visions and destined paths forward. I'm pretty excited about this astrology. We're going to go Monday through Sunday, the 1st through the 7th of September. I'll put a little bit more time into the full moon eclipse. I did do a full report on both eclipses. We'll link the video up here and down below. I would definitely dive into that next because that's the full moon eclipse that's happening on September 7th. And that's the first part of that conversation. All right. Let's get into this. So first I want to give you an overall vibe of the flavors of what's going on in the skies. Eclipse season. Eclipse means it gets a little weird. Uranus goes retrograde this week. That's really weird. Saturn moves back into Pisces. That's kind of like a time warp. Sometimes eclipses can feel like time warp, like time doesn't really exist. Is it past, present? What's influencing what? I was talking to Rick Levine the other day about retrocausality. You know, like what we do in the future affects the past. What we do now doesn't just affect our future, but it actually affects the past. And what's happening in the future is, anyways, it got a little trippy. I won't go super far into that. That's an interview that will be coming out in a couple weeks. You can stay tuned for that. Hit the subscribe button if you don't want to miss any of the upcoming goodness that's coming out. But this overall feel of this eclipse season is just kind of rolling with sudden unexpected change. Being able to kind of like roll with the punches of, whoa, like reality as I thought I knew it might not be it. If we can be a little more flexible during eclipse seasons, they oftentimes aren't as harsh or as challenging. So it's like, I want to be curious. Here we go. This is like, mystic tradition 101. Can I walk into eclipse season this week? Can I walk into this really curious about things? Really curious. I'm not tightly clinging on to anything. I am not holding some sort of an expectation. I'm very loosely, I have like my shamanic eyes switched on. I'm really listening deeply. The whole world starts to talk to me in different ways, and I'm really listening, and I'm very curious. Like, what's here? What's the world showing me? What is it that I'm walking toward? What is it that I'm walking away from? What is it that I really feel like I have completed in my life? And then what is it that I'm maybe feeling little sprinkles of excitement to move toward? That's kind of the vibe or the flavor of this week. The other thing I want to bring up about this week as a theme here up front is Shiva is squaring the full moon. I want to make sure that I get that. Shiva's squaring the full moon eclipse. Shiva's going to be a really beautiful consciousness aspect to this week. The power of our consciousness, the power of our focus. Where focus goes, energy flows. What am I choosing to put my attention on this week? It's going to be more impactful because it's an eclipse. Eclipses are like fuel for the path forward. They're like adding a whole lot of, it's like jet fuel in your, body vehicle. It's like being propelled by jet fuel forward. And so if we can really slow down, and we can very, very consciously choose what we're attuning to, we're going to have a much more graceful and easeful eclipse season. It won't feel like the rug's being pulled out from under us. It won't feel like the Band-Aid is being ripped off quite as harshly oftentimes if we can kind of get in this slipstream. It's like, I want to get in this slipstream, and it's like the slipstream of true self, soul self, highest path forward. I'm getting in that slipstream. I'm getting out of the slipstream of false self, little self, ego self, attached, clingy self. And I'm getting in this slipstream of my soul's evolutionary path, what it is that my soul came here to experience, to express, to create, to be. That's what eclipse seasons are all about. And that's why sometimes they can really rock the boat, because they can throw us off of, mundane daily living life and really put soul in the driver's seat. All right, I think that's enough. I talk a lot more about eclipse season in that deeper conversation on YouTube. So definitely go check that out if this is kind of singing to you and you want to learn more about it. All right, here we go. Monday. Monday is when Saturn, who's already retrograde, moves into Pisces. Now, he's moving from a fire sign to a water sign. Saturn represents the part of self that is structure, that is discipline, that is boundaries, that is like 3D physical. Okay, this is reality. And also Saturn represents the space between the unseen and the seen. You could look at Saturn as the manifester. He is that which brings an idea into reality. I bring inspiration into creation. I bring it into the physical form. I bring it from formless to form. So that's one of the functions that Saturn plays. Another function that Saturn plays is karmic task master. So he's Mr. Miyagi. He's Gandalf. He's Yoda. He's like, I am here to help train you let me feel. I want to get really good words around this. I am here to help train you for your soul's mastery in this life, whatever that is, right? Whatever your soul came here to really experience, express, work through, grind through, become. I'm here to help you come into mastery of that. I'm here to keep you aligned with that. I'm here to help you come into mastery with that. I will throw the challenges at you. I will help you to train. I will help you. I'm almost like, like at a bowling alley, they put the bumpers in the, in the gutters. Right? He's like the bumpers, and he's just like, nope, get back in your lane. Nope, get back in your lane. Nope, get back in your lane. So now, interestingly, when he moves to the 29th degree, this is a loaded degree. This is the karmic anaretic degree. It is the most karmic. It is the most anaretic. It is the final degree of the entire zodiac. Saturn moves there on Monday. So what does this mean? This means we are already in a very karmic time. Saturn being on 29 degrees of Pisces, he's like, all right, we got to wrap it up. Here's what you haven't wrapped up yet. Here's what you haven't let go of yet. Here's what you're still clinging on to, you're still holding on to in the old. That's what Saturn's saying when he moves into 29 degrees. He's also in Pisces. Pisces is the unseen. Pisces is the formless. Remember, Saturn is he who brings formless into form. A thought into reality. He's the manifester that sits right there in between those two worlds. So now he's moved into complete formless, complete mystic, right? So now we have this kind of interesting, seemingly dichotomy, seemingly duality, but there's an alchemy that's happening there. There's this alchemy, and it's almost, I want to use these words, like alchemy in the decomposing of things. He's like, all right, we're going to have to do one final swoop here of what are the foundations you haven't composted yet? What are the structures you have not let go of yet? now is your time. Now, like it's now. And with eclipse season fueling him to be the karmic taskmaster that he is, we're definitely going to be hearing this. We'll definitely be seeing this. He'll be playing that out all week. It's just that he moves there on Monday. So the whole week will be flavored by that. Really good to do some journaling on what is it that I feel like I'm clinging on to? What is it that and we'll work with this actually on the 1st in Bones membership. So if you're like, I don't know how to get into this space, Sabrina, we're going to work with this via the archetype of Sedna. So good. I'll talk more about Sedna on the 6th, on Saturday, when we get to that in our conversation, because she's conjunct Uranus. So we'll work with that, but feeling into journal prompts, questions, practices around like, what feels old to me? What in my life feels old to me? What feels like I just can't quite let this go? Like I'm clinging to this thing. I'm begging for this thing to make it into the new with me. These are real, and then get creative around those journal prompts, but that's really powerful for Monday. This one is interesting. We're going to track this all week. This is the next piece that's happening on Monday. We'll track this all week. This very much has to do with the eclipse energy, which nodes of fate really represent eclipse energy. So on Monday, Jupiter comes into trine and sextile with the nodes of fate. Isn't this interesting? It's like things already come Monday are getting more fated, more destined, more karmic. Saturn on the 29th, karmic anaretic degree, final completion degree of the whole zodiac. Like that amplifies karma, amplifies destiny. Jupiter is the great expander. Jupiter, anything that he touches, he adds more voltage to it. So him being in a trine sextile of the nodes of fate, he's amplifying the fates. It's like the fates are, this is a really loud plane flying over. It feels kind of like Jupiter just amplifying this moment in time. So if you can hear that, this is these huge planes. I live kind of near a military base in the middle of the Nevada mountains. It's crazy. Anyways, Jupiter trine sextile, this is flowing energy. Jupiter's a grace bomb. So Jupiter grace bomb amplifying the nodes of fate. Kind of like Jupiter saying, I am going to, with my grace and my huge capacity to just light it up, I'm going to light up your destiny line. I'm going to light up your path forward. Remember at the beginning I said there's little inklings of what we might be being called toward on our true north path. What is the next breadcrumb on your breadcrumb trail of true north destined, highest aligned path forward? This could start to happen on Monday already with Jupiter there. All right, let's keep moving on. Tuesday, this is the 2nd. Now, Parvati comes into the mix with Jupiter. Parvati is conjunct Jupiter. Remember I said Jupiter, anything that Jupiter comes into contact with, Jupiter amplifies. Jupiter is amplifying Parvati energy, really lighting up Parvati energy. And remember, because they're conjunct, they're already in this trine and sextile to the nodes of fate. I mentioned that about Monday. So it's Jupiter really lighting up your destiny path, possibly getting some insights about your next breadcrumb on your breadcrumb trail. Now, Parvati in the mix brings in sacred union. All forms of sacred union, all levels of sacred union. What is your sacred union to the divine? What is your connection to the divine? What is your connection to something greater, something higher? What is your connection to God? What is your connection to goddess? What is your connection to spirit, to soul? What is your connection, right? That's sacred union. So sacred union beyond just this masculine and feminine polarity, tantra kind of sacred union that we always think of. That is, of course, there, but I want to point to something higher frequency because it's destined, because it's fated, because Jupiter is in the mix. We want to look at Parvati as higher forms of sacred union. Like you are always walking in sacred union. You are in union with the sacred, the sacred is dripping in everything, everywhere, everyone, all of the time. Can we see from that place? And what if we were to see from that place? How would we then shape our reality? How would we then create from that place? How would we then make decisions about our life? How would we then walk through this eclipse season of, well, now it's easy to complete this karma. Now it's easy to walk away from that relationship that's over. Now it's easy to walk away from that job. Now it's easy to walk toward that thing that feels so scary, but yet kind of exciting. And I just know that it's my path forward. It becomes very different. See, that's a different viewpoint. It's a higher bird's eye viewpoint. I love that Parvati is conjunct Jupiter. This is going to be happening all week. It's going to flavor the whole week. And then being in that alignment with the nodes of fate, it is just dripping with destiny goodness. Like you can feel like you are pregnant and the whole world is dripping with the sacred. And what if you were to walk through this eclipse season dripping with the sacred? If you want support to stay at this high frequency, high vibe, dripping from the sacred, seeing from this bird's eye view, check out the different programs and offerings that we've got going on during eclipse season. There are 5 different things you can feel into. They're available now only until the 21st, that second eclipse. But they will really hold you to these high heights. They will really hold you to what I'm talking about. That's possible to move through this eclipse season. And the amount of karma we can then shed with ease and grace, the amount of dharma, that which you really came here to do, opening up for us just with ease and grace, and you just move through it like it's a non-thing. It's not a big deal that the relationship ended, the job is complete, that the big, shiny, scary thing is what you're going to just step into. It's a non-thing. The ego lets go. It doesn't get attached. It's not in a fearful state. It's just that the soul is really moving. Bones membership really supports that. New human activation helps you to embody it and live from that place all of the time. Dragon Mystery School is a little bit of a longer term. It's a 3-month thing if you want some really intense journeying through a mystery school. Some of them are over 50% off. That's how much we believe in eclipse season and this moment in time. And that's how much we really want to support this moment in time. And anyone that feels like there's something more to life. Like eclipses are just that time. They are that time. They are that time where what we can do during eclipse is unlike any other time during the year. Really and truly, what we can shed, what we can awaken in ourselves, the psycho-spiritual gifts switching on during this eclipse. This eclipse, we're going to talk about Hekate in a little bit. She's the one who holds the witch gifts. All of your witch gifts that are waiting to be switched on. Boom. Your Shiva gifts that are waiting to be switched on. Those are the 2 big archetypes this week. I know we haven't gotten to them yet much. We talked a tiny little bit about Shiva. Those are the 2 big archetypes in the eclipse, would be Hekate and Shiva. All right, let's keep going. So Wednesday, this is where Uranus starts to come into play. I want to throw Uranus in here as a 3rd big archetype. Uranus is loud. Uranus is the Kundalini awakener. He's the awakener. He's a great awakener. He's like, wake up, there's more. Wake up to the miraculous. Stop just seeing with this limited bandwidth. You're only seeing the ordinary. I want you to open to the non-ordinary, to the extraordinary. I want to open your experience of life, your field of vision to the extraordinary, to the miraculous. That's Uranus. I want to really expand and broaden your horizons. There is so much more here, and I'm here to open you to it. That's Uranus. Now, Mercury is square Uranus on Wednesday. Mercury is translator of the gods. So Mercury is a part of self that we are very aware of. We are very conscious of Mercury. Many of us have been trained in our cultures and our school systems to really rely heavily on thinking. That's Mercury, thinking, the mind. Now, Mercury being translator of the gods, squaring Uranus. The mind, a part you are conscious of and aware of, is going to be tapped into Uranus, is going to be tapped into extraordinary thinking, seeing the miraculous, thinking far outside the box, experiencing reality from a miraculous place, where it's the extraordinary becomes the ordinary, the miraculous becomes the daily things that you can see. That's really what Uranus is wanting to do here. So he's starting to translate that. I'm going to move us into Thursday. I could go more into this. Actually, I will, because I spoke about Sedna a little bit. I mentioned her as being a really supportive archetype to work with through this eclipse season. So Uranus is conjunct Sedna. Uranus is conjunct Sedna. Uranus, Kundalini awakener. Shakti awakener. Uranus as a masculine energy, and his consciousness, what it does is it awakens that dormant feminine capacity, that dormant Shakti. If you think of Shakti awakening or Kundalini awakening or these divine feminine gifts awakening, right now he is very much awakening Sedna. He's very much awakening Sedna. They are together for a very long time at 1 degree of Gemini. So it is literally Uranus waking up Sedna, waking up Sedna, waking up Sedna. This is an emerging feminine archetype that is ready to be woken up in the consciousness. Some of us are very much tapping into it. We put up a post on Instagram about Sedna. It was our most popular post that we posted in like weeks and weeks and weeks. And we're like, wow, it's happening. Like it's happening. People are feeling it somewhere deep inside. Whether we know her name is Sedna or not, we can feel these deep feminine gifts switching on inside of ourselves. We can also feel the myth of Sedna coming alive. Very much, and some of us can very much relate to it. Let me give you the myth of her. Again, this is the journey, part of the journey we'll be taking on the 1st of September in Bones membership. If you're watching this after, which you have to be because it's coming out on the 1st, it's ready for you. Like the replay is ready for you to dive into immediately. Here's the myth. Feel into this. Just feel for yourself if you're kind of tapping into Sedna, this emerging feminine consciousness, this Uranus waking up, this Kundalini in our collective right now, this Shakti, this feminine, this aspect of the sacred feminine. Sedna, she's holding onto the side of a boat. She's holding onto the side of the boat. Now, the side of the boat represents her old life. Represents what she's known. It represents what she felt was safety and security. Her father's in the boat. She's holding on to this boat, this old life, this safety, security. And what happens? She's clinging, she's holding. She's terrified to let go, terrified to let go, terrified to let go. What happens is her father cuts her fingers off. Her father cuts her fingers off, so she cannot hold on to the boat. It is a forced initiation. This comes about in many myths, right? Persephone myth is another one. It's a forced initiation down into the underworld. Now she is being forced initiation down into the depths of the underworld. So this is the deep, sacred, feminine gifts of the underworld. It's also a shamanic initiation, and it's a rites of passage. The rites of passage of Sedna is that she's moving from her human form, her mortal form, clinging onto old foundations, old self. This could be like us moving into the new human that we're being called to become, but having to let go of old structures, of old safety, security, of what was known, my dad, a boat, being on land, right? My old form. She literally turns into a goddess. She literally turns into a goddess, completely morphs from mortal to immortal, from human to goddess form, right? That's her journey. Now, it's a huge journey of transformation, and there's much, much more, and we'll walk through that. But if you're feeling it, there's a way where we don't have to wait for our fingers to get cut off. That's what this is saying. That's what this astrology is saying. That's what this eclipse is saying. You don't have to wait for the world to do it to you. You don't have to wait for your dad or that thing out in your environment to cut your fingers off so you let go. You don't have to wait to be fired. You don't have to wait for your partner to leave you. You don't have to wait for all of your money in your bank account to disappear. You can let go. You can let go. Powerful, right? Crazy. That's where the ease and the grace comes in. That's where the ease and the grace comes in, is because I'm consciously I'm consciously letting go. I am making the choice so that it doesn't have to be done to me, that I'm forced into this initiation. I am going to consciously say yes, and I'm going to surrender into the massive transformation that I'm being asked to take right now. Wild. If any of that resonates, come join me in Circle on September 1st or jump into the replay immediately. All right. It gets more exciting on Thursday when Sedna conjunct Uranus is now opposing Medusa. Let's talk about this. And remember, we're under this whole eclipse. This is an eclipse week, so it's karmic, it's dharmic, it's fated, it's destined. Medusa comes into the mix, and Medusa, Uranus, the awakener of any Shakti, any flavor of the feminine. Now he's awakening Medusa. Right? Now, if Uranus is awakening Medusa, what is Medusa's gift? What is Medusa's Shakti? Medusa's Shakti is about truth. Medusa's Shakti is about removing the false masks. Medusa's Shakti is about taking off the armoring that you've been wearing, taking off your defense mechanisms, your protective mechanisms, that if you look at me the wrong way, I'm going to turn you to stone. It's really just me protecting my heart. It's really just, and so that's what Uranus is now asking. That's what Medusa is gifting us with in this eclipse week. Is you're taking off the masks. You're going to remove the absorbed conditioning. You're going to remove the weird roles that you've put on yourself or that other people have put on you. Like, what is the role your family put on you? Growing up, what is that role that they put on top of you? The role that you fit into. What is that role? Does it still fit? Does it still serve? What are the masks you wear every day? Do you wear the good girl mask? Do you wear the people pleaser mask? Do you wear the nice guy mask? What masks are you wearing? And they're going to not feel great. So this is part of what eclipse seasons do, is it really agitates and it irritates that which we've outgrown, so we can feel it, so we can see it, so we can make a change. Make a change. It is a time. Eclipse seasons are when life changes, big life changes happen, lasting life changes happen. People will leave our lives during eclipse seasons. We will leave people's lives during eclipse seasons. It's going to happen to the degree and in the way, and it might not be people leaving our lives. It might be us leaving our homes. It might be us leaving a project, us leaving something, us leaving an old way of being behind. But it's happening. It's happening. And we can work with it. We can get in that slipstream and we can bring a lot of love to it and we can bring a lot of consciousness to it. And it can really propel us. It's all about propelling us forward. None of this is bad. It's all in our highest good. Your true north. It's all for your highest good. It's not happening to you. It's happening for you. For your greatest expression, the thing that your soul most wants to do in this life. It most wants to experience that. It doesn't want to wear the good girl mask anymore. Maybe there's a part of you that's just ready to be like this wild sexual being. That's like, this is exactly what lights me up and it's what my soul came here to do. This is far beyond societal value structures that have been placed on us, ways that we've been taught to fit into things. This is really blowing up the box. And Uranus, being so loud this week, is saying, get out of social norms. Enough, right? Enough playing by these weird limitations. Enough. Color outside the lines. What is that drum? You beat the drum, your own beat. You have to play the drum to your own rhythm. I don't even know whatever saying that is. Maybe someone can leave a comment in the comments below. All right. So that's Thursday. So you can see there's a lot of dark goddess going on here. Sedna is a dark goddess. Medusa is a dark goddess. Now on Friday, we have more dark goddess coming in. It's Black Moon. She's the conglomerate of the dark goddess. Black Moon trines the North Node and the South Node. Isn't that stunning? Black Moon's trining the North Node and the South Node. So now we have another aspect to the nodes of fate. So we have Jupiter already hitting the nodes of fate, Parvati already hitting the nodes of fate. Yesterday we talked about Medusa. She's now hitting the nodes of fate. She's opposite Sedna and Uranus. Sorry, she's not hitting the nodes of fate. I get a little bit too excited there. Scratch that. Anyways, let's add Black Moon into hitting the nodes of fate. So Black Moon comes and hits the nodes of fate. What is this? This is the conglomerate of the dark goddesses. The conglomerate of the dark goddess. All of the dark goddesses sit in Black Moon. So you can think the dark face of the mother. You can think the fierce feminine. Now, this dark does not mean bad. Dark means deep, sacred, fierce, feminine. I am the dark mother. I am the one that holds your deepest depths in my heart. I am the one who will stop at nothing to give you your everything. That's where I come from. So just that, just a bit of fierce, feminine grace. Like, I'm not going to let you play small. This is fated for you. This is destined for you. I am going, and she's feminine, right? She's feminine. What does that mean? That points to the fact that she is in all form, right? It's all form. And so when the feminine's lit up like that during an eclipse, it's that the things in our lives can move a little bit more. They can be moved by. The feminine can move. She's moving in everything, in the trees and the land and people and, events and she's moving in everything. And so this means that things can be maneuvering around a little bit more so that it's delivered on a silver platter, so that you make the changes, so that you hear the calling. Again, this whole week, remember, future callings, future visions. And it's a simultaneously releasing, completing, letting go, and a simultaneous moving more and more toward that which is truly for you now in this moment in time. Whew. We haven't even gotten to the eclipse yet. All right, so that's Friday the 5th. The 6th, here we go. Uranus goes retrograde. Oh, come on, Sabrina. It doesn't get any better than this. When a planet goes retrograde, they are the closest to us. They are the loudest they get when they go retrograde. They are drilling down. They have a capacity to influence us and to move energy through us and around us in ways they normally don't have. Uranus going retrograde the day before the eclipse happens. Uranus, expect the unexpected, radical changes, things coming at us out of left field. Uranus, the great awakener. Uranus, he who can wake up every flavor of Shakti that there is. He who can wake up the deepest depths of you. There is no place that Uranus cannot bring radical awakening to in you. Could bring radical awakening to your sexual energy, could bring radical awakening to your vitality, could bring radical awakening to your creativity, could bring radical awakening to anything and everything. Something you could do on this day is, Uranus, in your infinite wisdom, where do you want to bring radical awakening in my life? Uranus, where am I still walking around with blinders on? Uranus, what do you want to light up in my life? Uranus, where is it that my life is taking a revolution? What is revolutionizing in me, in my life? That can be really powerful. So, Uranus retrograde, of course, it's days before and it's days after. That moves us right into the eclipse that's happening on Sunday. I'm going to give you the short version of this eclipse that's happening on Sunday. You can go dive into the eclipse special where I fully go into everything that's happening on the 7th for this eclipse. So here's the shortened version. This eclipse is a full moon eclipse. This is completion. It's ending. This is why I've been talking about this endings, this completions. It's happening in Pisces, a full moon in Pisces, watery depths. I want to say watery, let me take the depths word out of there and go watery boundlessness. Watery boundlessness. What is it that wants to dissolve? I just did this meditation today. There was a huge ending that happened in my life around relationship today. That's probably why I keep saying that. But a big ending, and it was this meditation on this dissolving the karma dissolving the cords. It was dissolving Pisces energy, full moon in Pisces is like the cloud of unknowing descends upon you and just can dissolve that which no longer serves, can dissolve form into formless, can dissolve those karmic cords that are maybe connecting you to a certain thing, can dissolve a relationship, can dissolve a connection, can dissolve an obligation, can dissolve a contract, can dissolve many of these things. That's Pisces. So full moon is completion, it's culmination energy. Eclipse, full moon, karmic, Saturn is on the 29th degree, right? Remember we were saying this is more karmic, it's more fated. It goes deeper. It's like a full moon eclipse. It goes deeper. It's a bigger ending. And this doesn't have to be happening in the physical world either. It's Pisces. This could be happening, a huge karmic completion happening in your inner world, in your spiritual world, in the unseen. It's Pisces. It can very much be happening in that way. So let me also talk a little bit about, it's a north node eclipse. So this means that the north, of course, both nodes of fate are always lit up. They're opposing each other. When one's lit up, the other one's lit up. You do your north node work, you're automatically doing your south node work. You do your south node work, you're automatically do your north node work. By the way, you can do that south node, north node work in Bones membership. There's a 3-part bonus series called Nothing But Soul. You get to work with these nodes of fate. Crazy good stuff to do during an eclipse season. So if you don't have a way of doing that, jump into Bones. It's $59. Come stay for the month. Check it out. If you want to stay, do it. If not, total respect. But feeling into North Node eclipse, full moon, illuminating that path forward. So you may want to do some free flow writing around, what am I being called to? You might want to pay attention to dreams because it's a Pisces full moon. The dream world could be really powerful. What am I dreaming? What am I imagining myself into? Imagination's really good. Dreaming is really good. What am I dreaming into? What am I imagining into? What are my imaginal cells kind of working on? That's powerful and starts to open up this future visioning, Dharma, North Node, Dharma, where you're headed to in this life in alignment with that soul's path forward. Let me feel if there's any last thing that I want to share. I do want to talk a little more about Hekate. We got to talk a bit more about Hekate. So this eclipse, and again, I dive deeper into this in that eclipse special. The moon is sextile Hekate. The sun is trine Hekate at 15 degrees. So it's perfect. It's a perfect sextile trine. These are flowing aspects. Let's talk about what this means. One, it's a full moon. That's Hecate's just jam. I think this is a blood moon too, which is just perfect for Hekate, right? Queen of the witches. So this is witchy full moon. This is a time to tap into like oracle, visionary. She's the queen of the crossroads. She can see past, present, and future. Perfect for this North Node future visioning. But you want to feel into like witchy ways about it, oracle ways about it, right? And if it feels right to pull some oracle cards, do it. This is the time to like get the crystal ball out, get the oracle cards out, right? Get under the full moon, get witchy with it. Because Hekate is there, and when you can illuminate and spark that sacred energy within yourself, that Shakti, she's a Shakti, she's just another expression of the divine feminine. When you can awaken and spark that Shakti within you, suddenly there's juice behind the witchy stuff. Suddenly there's juice behind the pulling the oracle card. There's juice, there's an alignment, there's Shakti, there's that, the whole world is dripping with divinity, and you're working it with a Shakti capacity. Now, Shakti, you're working it with a Hekate capacity. Now, the Shakti of Hekate is very much midwife. Midwife. What is she midwifing into the world for you? What is she midwifing you into? What is she midwifing you out of? What is she midwifing awake in you? This is where these spiritual gifts are coming online. It's an aspect of what's coming online in this way. Now, there's a whole nother way of talking about this with Shiva, and we can talk about those gifts because each of these archetypes come with a whole set of sacred technologies. So Shiva will switch on gifts, and I'm talking about Shiva because he's square this North Node, South Node. So Shiva, consciousness. What is it that you can actually do with your consciousness that you don't know what you can do with your consciousness yet? If you actually trained your consciousness, how could you alchemize something just by bringing your consciousness to it? You can change quantum physics. You can change the trajectory of anything you bring your consciousness to. That's Shiva. That's going on during this eclipse. Y'all, this is a crazy, powerful time to be, let me feel. It's a crazy, powerful time to be working with consciousness. It's a crazy, powerful time to be working with sacred feminine, like Hekate, like Parvati. It's a crazy, powerful time to do, here I'll say it like this, to do anything that you feel supports your highest path forward. What is it that you are drawn to, called to, and it is not logic, it is not ration, it is not reason. There is just something in me that knows I need to be in Australia on these 2 retreats. That's the truth for me, right? There's just something in me that knows I need to show up for that Sedna activation in Bones. There's something in me that knows I need to do that mystery school of the threefold path. There's something in me that knows that this new human activation, Sabrina's been rattling on and on about new feminine, new masculine, new union. There's something in me that knows that there's something in there for me. Whatever it is, in ReWilding, out of ReWilding, as mundane or as like weirdo, esoteric-y out there as it is, we're going to want to do it. It's like it's talking, the still small voice within self became the loud voice within self. There's a wisdom within self, but we have to follow that like deep intuitive knowing. I know that this is for me. It makes 0 sense, but I know that I'm being called this way. I'm being called to this place. I'm being called away from this place. I'm being called to this activation. I'm being called to this land. Like, what is it for you? And can you follow it? You know, can we trust that part of self? I think this is where we get so gosh darn hung up. You know, it's all those memes. Give me another sign. I need a signier sign because I don't trust that sign. Yeah, hands up if I just busted ya. For real. Right? Leave me a comment if I called you out. With love. I'm doing it with love, and I'm calling myself into of I better be walking the talk. I better be walking that talk. I better follow that, right? Can we trust it? Can we trust it? It will be so smooth if we can follow that. If we can actually listen, take the action. Listen, take the action. You get the hit, you take the action. You get the hit, you take the action. Because you don't get the next hit until you oftentimes take that one. And if you wait too long to take the action on that hit, the whole trajectory has shifted anyways, and that thing's no longer right. Pretty crazy, right? My gosh. I'm excited to see some of you in Australia. I'm going to see some of you on the first eclipse, some of you on the second eclipse in Australia. There's a few tickets left just in case you want to really go for it this eclipse season. I know I'm with some of you in the new human activation. I'll be with some of you on the 1st of September or in the replay for that Sedna, this eclipse journey that we're taking in Bones membership. And I know I'm with some of you in Dragon Mystery School right now. I am sending so much grace and love and Shakti and goodness and holding this intention, right? That anyone who touches into any ReWilding, anything, whether it be here or it be Instagram or it be wherever, is just like, may we just plug into this tapestry, this network of goodness that ReWilding holds, this like soul fire, like this dedication to your soul's highest path forward. That's why we do all of this. That's why I show up for these conversations every single week. It's because it's this devotion and this dedication to highest path. Because what else are we going to do with this one beautiful life? I'd love to see y'all in the comments. I'd love to see you next week. I'd love to see you in ReWilding Weekly. If you are not signed up for ReWilding Weekly, I write a big, beautiful day-by-day journal prompt and practices every day, Monday through Sunday. I send it out every Sunday. You'll find a link below. Definitely go sign up for that. That's free, and I would love to share that with you. All right. Mad love to you.